So we have Matt Hedges here with Pennsylvania, but he's also the regional chair for NASTO, so the North American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. Ted Koulianos is here from Minnesota DOT, representing MASTO, which is, you may have remembered, it used to be called Mississippi Valley, but now it's Mid-American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. And then we have Vivian Spriggett.
Baked bridge.
Okay. From North Carolina, proxying for Wayne Davis. Wayne Davis is the chair of SASHTO, South America, Southeast. You're getting the drift, right? You have WASHTO, which is represented by Jim Wright, and I think he's on his way. So what we wanted the regions to do is come find out a little bit more about our association and just have open dialogue with them about, you know, some of the things that we're trying to work on. We have some handouts here, the talking points, as far as some of the issues that the National Pilot Car Association would like to see perhaps worked on in the next round of harmonization, or just some things to think about. So we can definitely, you know, go through that. But and I don't want to miss Trina in the back. She's with Maryland Permit Office and DOT as well. So you know, I just want to welcome everybody to our meeting. It's our first annual conference, and so we're just trying to come together and put together an association that represents the pilot car industry, you know, akin to SCNRA representing the carriers, and, you know, try and have one association represented regionally. We'll have, you know, 2 members of our board representing each region that would probably attend your regional meetings, you know, and participate and, you know, help convey some of the issues as things may or may not come up, you know, throughout the year, you know, provide you feedback, and then also be a resource to you. I received a call, as a matter of fact, from your counterpart in Maryland, Trina's counterpart in Maryland, about, okay, people are calling me asking them about pilot car certification, where do I send them? You know, you can send them to the association and we can point them in the right direction, because there's different training requirements in different states. For example, if you're domiciled in Minnesota, then you need to be certified by Minnesota's program. If you're domiciled in a state that doesn't have certification, you know, then you may need to get certification from somewhere else, or you may not. So these are the kind of things that we're trying to work on. You know, as previously discussed, that if you attended the meeting with the Pilot Car Stakeholder Committee to SCNRA, you know, they're trying to do what they did with the crane operators, come up with a national certification, and I think it's fair to say that MPC supports that, you know, to set that bar and to, you know, rise the level, instead of somebody just, you know, maybe taking a class, or in some states where there isn't certification, just buying what they think is the appropriate equipment and throwing it on their car and going down the road. And so, you know, we want to represent the people that want to do it right and bring up a, you know, a good standard. You know, there was ethics talked about in that meeting as well. I think, you know, we would applaud those efforts, you know, to have ethics instilled, you know, in the business, you know, and you know, hold ourselves and police ourselves too. I mean, when there's an accident, and, you know, I've heard instances in my prior auspices as a state official, or working with a state official, you know, Ted's counterpart Kathleen Nichols, where there's an accident involving an OSOW vehicle, the pilots are gone, the state patrol shows up and cites the carrier because the pilots aren't there for not conforming to the permit. So, you know, we would, I think it's safe to say, even though it wasn't a talking point for the board, we would want our pilots that we represent to stay put and you know, work through the process. So it's trying to get our arms around this, you know, partly, you know, like the study that's being undertaken by FHWA and led by Lido's consultant, trying to come together and have one voice, you know, in the wake of some of the things that have happened around the United States, you know, with the pilot car industry. You know, and then there was a vision that was set forth by one of our founders, Steve Barnes, who unfortunately is no longer with us. You know, and we're trying to carry that flag on, and, you know, I think it says it all in the banner so that everybody gets home safe. So we want to advocate a culture of safety, you know, and make sure that we're constantly pressing ourselves to do more, and make sure that every operator gets home and the load gets where it needs to go, and that, you know, from a state official's point of view, that the motoring public, when you permit a load to a carrier and it subsequently has some of our members with it, that it executes safely, infrastructure is not damaged, the rest of the motoring public is not put in danger. So with that, I guess we'll open it up, and is there anything else you want to perhaps say to the state officials about what we're doing, or how we can engage in dialogue with them or be a resource to them?
Well, listen, you push my button and I can talk all day. There are a few people in the room can verify that.
Elton's the reason why the Supreme Court has that red light. 2 minutes.
No, I just think it's really important that that we form a partnership with the states. That you folks understand what we do and why we do it, how we do it, and we need to understand the same thing about you. One of the things I'll be talking about tomorrow, Jim asked me to make a presentation about the National Pilot Car Association, but we also have another outreach program that we are working on called the Ride Along Initiative. And we're going to have handouts for the various state officials. But the idea there is let me just backstep. Almost everybody in this room who's ever escorted a load has uttered this phrase. I wish the people that wrote these rules came out here and saw what we do. So our idea behind the Ride Along Initiative is to establish a program where we can get state officials, permit officials, your state legislative transportation people, put them in a van, which we're going to fully equip with lights, signs, flags, safety vests, helmets, all the safety issues, but we want them to go out and see what a pilot car does and why. And I'm going to be very honest with you. Every day I'm out there escorting, I probably break 4 or 5 laws because it's necessary. And one of the problems that we've had with the existing best practices is it doesn't cover the reality of being out there on the highway. You've got a 21-foot wide load on a 24-foot bridge. People are not going to stop unless you get over there and make them stop. It's patently illegal, but ultimately what's safer. And so that's the kind of thing that we're hoping that with the Ride Along Initiative that we can open a dialogue so that you folks can understand what we do. Why do we do it that way? Understand that we really are not frustrated cops. We're just interested in first of all, the safety. On my personal business cards, my motto is, we're nuts about your safety. And I had a driver about 6 months ago who told me I was anal about safety. And you know what my response was? Thank you. Great. So, what we're passing out now is just kind of a printout of the PowerPoint presentation we're doing on the Ride Along Initiative. So that's just one of the things that I've got in mind, and frankly, we did a dry run in another state, and somebody just mentioned that we might want the news media to come out. My God, you'd think that we shot the Pope. They would not participate because they were afraid the news media was going to be involved. So, we're willing to work with the states in whatever means they're comfortable with. We can isolate the permitting officials, the regulators, the lawmakers, the rule makers, and not have to involve the news media. But ultimately, we want to educate the public. How do you act around an oversized load? What is that guy with those amber lights and flags doing? Why is he there? Why is she there? What's she trying to do? Why is she preventing me from driving down to the next traffic light? Because she doesn't see that 165-foot load trying to make a right turn. So ultimately, we need the news media, we need the public, we need the community leaders to be involved with these things. And one of the things we really had hoped to do for this specific conference was we really had hoped to have a van and identify an oversized load in the area and invite attendees to the SCNRA and the Washington Conference to go out and physically see that. Between Steve's untimely death and my untimely heart attack 3 weeks ago, it just didn't happen. But that's where we're going with it. And we truly want a partnership with the states. We're all on the same side. We've got the same goal. And so that's something that we are serious about. So at this point, I'm going to open it up. Anybody, do you have any questions or comments for the state representatives? Okay, hold down the rush.
State representatives just came in.
I was Mayor.
Iowa.
Does anyone do the ride along now that you know of, that you're aware of?
No, ma'am. No, it's, if they are, we're not aware of it. You know, like I said, we did a dry run in another state in August.
You put me down. That's the first thing I wanted to do when I got my job. So I've already set up two, they're gonna call me when they get a good one, and then I'm gonna ride along.
Excellent.
I do have an open door policy if
Oh, you
anyone
do?
would like to ride along. Absolutely.
Where are you, darling?
Located in New Jersey.
Oh, geez, that's too
You're not gonna get that Southern Belle.
Oh, yeah. Y'all got too much cold.
Would be an eye opener.
I bet it would. I bet it would.
One of the people that was involved with the dry run ride along we did is Dr. Ann Hamilton, who is in charge of the Oklahoma State University, the State of Oklahoma Pilot Car Certification Program. And now Leidos just announced, you know, that they've named her to fill in Steve's shoes. Ann has been teaching the certification class for about 12 years, but she'd never actually been on a load. And first of all, I'm going to tell you, she's a wild woman when she's driving a van. We had her driving the van, and I was trying to explain what was going on. And but she came back saying, there are things here I didn't know, things I didn't realize. I myself am certified. I've actually gone and taken the classes in Florida, Oklahoma, Arizona, Washington. I'm Utah certified. I'm New York certified. I'm a certified Washington State instructor. And the reason I do all that is I want to be the expert if I'm going to teach the class. But what I have found, with all respect to all these people, and I'll tell you that Ann Hamilton's program was by far the best, most interesting class, was that not one of them, not a single one, had actually had rubber on the road as a civilian pilot car operator. How can you teach a class? You know, now wait, Ann will defend that. You know, and she'll say, well, you know, do you have to go back in time to teach history? And I understand that. But there are nuances about being on the road that without you actually being there, you don't understand it. And if you're trying to pass it on to people who want to become an escort, no offense, but if you don't have that experience, it's impossible to teach it. And so that's why we're kind of excited about the ride-along program. I think it's going to be a really effective tool.